Good morning. We're going to start today's lesson with Act 1, Scene 4. Notice at the very beginning of this scene, we've got Corey leaving to head off to football practice, and his mom telling him that, he needs to come and pick up his mess and that his father won't like it. It's about the time that he exits that Troy and Bono come in, and we know that they're coming back from work. And they were talking about what had happened at work, but Bono shifts the conversation over to Troy's continued visits to Alberta. We can see that he doesn't really support that, Troy's actions, and he wants answers about it, but Troy ignores the conversation and avoids it by just calling out for Rose. And actually, this is something I want to talk to you about also. The way that Troy sort of calls out Rose is insulting. He almost treats her as if she were a dog. If I call, you come. And he even asked Bono, doesn't your wife come when you call her? And Rose sort of puts Troy in his place by saying, man, hush your mouth. I'm not a dog. Talk about come when you call me. I don't come when you call me. And again, it just reflects Troy's belief that the woman, his wife, should serve him whenever he needs it. We also have Troy singing a song that he learned from his father about a dog named Blue. So this was actually passed down also from Troy to his kids, so it's several generations with this song. It's not something I wanted to examine just yet, but I wanted to have you remember this for a later time. We also see that the conversation between Troy and Bono gets shifted back to work. At the beginning of Act 1, Scene 1, Troy challenges his boss about coloreds not being able to drive the trucks in their business. And he has to answer to that. He gets called to a meeting in this scene, and he finds out that actually he's been promoted to driver. So it shows that Troy's had to fight to get what he has, and also highlights the struggles for other African Americans to be promoted in real life. He's the first colored driver here. What's also interesting is that Troy gets promoted to being a driver, even though he doesn't have a driver's license and isn't technically qualified for that job. Just important to point out, and Bono points this out. We also see Lyons coming back for a visit in Scene 4, and what Troy automatically assumes is that Lyons is coming back to borrow more money, but he was wrong. Lyons was coming back to actually pay him like he said he would. So Troy was wrong on both counts. And even though he is wrong, he doesn't want to admit it and doesn't apologize, and he just tells Lyons to keep the money the next time that he wants to come back and ask for more. So there he goes, assuming again. He's always assuming that everyone needs him, or that everyone's doing him wrong, or mooching off of him. So that was something I wanted to point out to you. We also see that Lyons attempts to get his father to come and watch one of his performances, which Troy shoots down. He doesn't want to go, and this just further builds that fence between Troy and Lyons. It's purely Troy's doing that he has this separation between he and the son. I guess at least he's consistent. He doesn't support Corey's dreams. He doesn't support Lyons' dreams either. We also discovered that Corey has chosen to lie to his father about getting his job back. Remember, he was supposed to quit football basically and go work. He didn't do that. He's been playing football instead, and this sort of infuriates Troy. You can imagine that it would. Since Corey disobeyed him, there are going to be some consequences. Lyons does try to stick up for his brother by saying that all Corey wants to do is, fill his father's shoes, or he tries to make him proud. This is something that I assume Lyons is telling Troy from experience. He also struggles, I'm sure, with the same thing. So there is the big, huge discussion moving forward on page 50 that I want to talk to you about regarding fathers, okay? This is a lot about Troy's experience. We do get a little bit about Bono's. Bono does, that his father was never really around. He never really knew his father. But Troy actually did have a father, and he did stick around, but that relationship wasn't very good. So let me tell you more about that. So Troy points out his father didn't really care about his kids, and that really, mostly he was concerned with teaching his kids to go work for him rather than, just giving them love and affection. He was also a man who was more concerned about himself than his kids. Here's a statement that reflects this. It says, when it comes time for eating, he ate first. If there was anything left over, then that's what you got. The man could eat 2 whole chickens and then just give you a wing. So that was something his dad did. He was mostly concerned with work. working for Mr. Lubin, the owner of the farm. And of course, when Lyons asks Troy's father why he didn't move on from that, because he clearly wasn't getting anywhere from that, Troy just points out, that his father had an obligation to, supporting his kids. He had 11 of them. Where was he going to go? He knew nothing else but farming. That was all he was really good at doing, and he knew he was trapped. But even though Troy's father had a lot of flaws, at least he did feel a responsibility toward them. He didn't treat him well, but he could have walked off and left him, but he didn't do that. We also have another kind of dark story about Troy's father. At one point, his father beat him badly and then tried to sleep with Troy's girlfriend. So many things about Troy's story related to his father kind of parallels Troy's own relationships with his sons. Let me kind of point out some of these similarities to you. So, we can see that Troy's father wanted something that Troy had, similar to Troy with Corey's football. He didn't get anywhere, and he was kind of jealous of probably what Corey could do with this sport. We also have Troy and his father have some similar views regarding work and responsibility to the family. I'm kind of remembering the "I don't have to like you" speech that he gave Corey at one point. We even see that, his father felt stuck in his work as a sharecropper, much like Troy probably feels in his job, which is why he's challenging his boss. We also have probably the fact that he feels stuck in his relationship with Rose, which is why he's straying. Finally, we have Troy concerned mostly with himself, same as his father was concerned with his own self. So all of these things, it's kind of like father like son phrase. Moving on, we've got more exaggeration on Troy's part, which causes the readers to question how much of his story we should believe. One of those things that we can call into question is, how far he had walked to Mobile. We also have some lines that he told Rose in this scene. And Bono says, Rose will keep you straight. If you get off track, she'll straighten you right up, bring you back to reality, bring you back down to what was probably the truth. Okay, you kind of have to go off of what others say about him if we want to get a pretty good characterization. So yes, while Troy's probably telling some truth, it's probably not all the truth. Another couple of things I guess I want to go through before we conclude here is that Lyons does try to have a relationship with his father. Again, he kind of points out coming to one of his gigs, but he's shot down again. Even though he's talented, his father isn't supportive. I know I've said that before, but it is important. And then one final event of this act is that, Corey comes home to confront his father about shutting down his dreams, And here's what he says to his dad. He says, "You don't ever want to listen to nobody, and then you go and do this to me." And then he also points out to his father, just because you didn't have a chance, you're just scared that I'm going to be better than you, that's all. And this really strikes a nerve with his dad. In fact, Troy uses another baseball metaphor to explain to Corey that he's messed up at this point. This is page 58. He says, "I'm going to tell you what your mistake was. See, you swung at the ball and you didn't hit it. That's strike one. You see, you're in the batter's box now. You swung and you missed. That's strike one. Don't you strike out." So, we probably had experience with this metaphor either. 3 strikes and you're out. So Corey's messed up once. He's got 2 more chances before probably things will blow up and things will get ugly. So that's important to know as well. So that's how we're going to conclude Act 1. We'll move on to Act 2 next time. We'll see you later.